If your feet point out like a duck or if you have a waddle walk, then you are setting your ankles up for problems in the near future. And that is why this video is all about straightening your feet for better posture and stronger ankles. My name is Adam. I'm a sports massage therapist, and on this channel, you're going to learn new and different techniques to improve your posture, relieve your pain, and increase your strength. Now today, I'm going to be showing you a very simple routine that you can do at home that's going to help straighten your feet and improve your foot posture. And the only tools you're going to need is a lacrosse ball and a mini band. Now there are two main muscles we're going to be focusing on during this sequence, and the first one is the lateral calf, also known as the fibularis, and the second muscle is the anterior tibialis, also known as the front portion of the calf muscle. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first muscle we want to work on here is the fibularis, and it's very easy to locate. Actually, all you have to do is find the head of the fibula and the lateral malleus, also known as the ankle bone. Basically, you're going to take these 2 points and your muscle is going to be right down the middle. Now if you want to confirm this, all you have to do is lift the ankle up, or eversion, and you'll see the muscle basically either pop up or create a small indent. Some muscles do the one or some muscles do the other. People are different. Now with this as well, just make sure you're not putting the toes up, because flexing the toes is going to activate the extensor muscle, which is right in front of it. So make sure the ankle is actually trying to lift up and not the toes. So now that we know where this is, we're going to be using 3 different principles in order to release it. And the first one is to separate the tissues. And the way we're going to be doing this is with a stripping technique. Now the goal of stripping, and no, not that kind, is to basically strip the muscle away from the other tissues, or vice versa, the other tissues away from the muscle. And you can do this by going across the fibers of the muscle. Muscle fibers go between these 2 ankle bones, or ankle and knee bone. So here we are simply going to start at the edge of the muscle. Again, we can find the edge by contracting it and you'll feel like a little muscle pop up. I'm going to start at the edge. I'm going to sink in with my lacrosse ball, and then I'm going to strip it or push it towards the back of the calf. So again, I'm going to show you just to make sure I can see it on the other camera here. We have the peroneals, or fibularis, however you want to call it, on the side. I'm going to go to the very edge of it. I'm going to press in with the lacrosse ball, and then I'm going to push it backwards towards the calf. And all I'm trying to do here is separate these tissues with a little bit of a stripping technique here. So why do I call this a stripping technique? Because what we're trying to do here is basically split the fascia that is wrapping around the muscles and tendons and everything else. So we can go all the way down here. I'm going to press in and pull it back. I'm going to press in and pull it back. I know it's hard to see here because my hand's kind of blocking it. So not as much strength here as I'm doing this, but I'm trying to push in towards the calf, and then I'm peeling it backwards away. So I'm trying to push this all out of the way, all the way down the calf. And again, we're going to do the same thing on the other side in the front. So I'm just going to do this real quick. For you, again, you have to think of this as a massage. You have to think of this as getting an actual massage. Do you want them to spend 1 to 2 minutes working on this, or do you want them to spend a solid 5 minutes or 10 minutes even trying to get this shit out? You probably want the latter and go for the longer period. And so you have to think of it in the same matter. You have to spend a solid 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even put a little extra effort into it. So one thing I could do here actually is just internally rotate my hip, and this allows me to rest my knee onto the backrest. But a little note here, your hips may begin to feel this after about 30 seconds to a minute, so don't keep it there too long. If your hips are feeling there like I am, then chances are you're probably missing internal rotation in the hip, but that's not what this video is all about. So if we're gonna strip the muscle, you wanna make sure you strip it away from the muscle. And when you're doing this, you can do about 2 to 3 passes on both sides. So that's the first part for our stripping technique. Now we're gonna do the same exact thing, but now we're actually gonna push into the muscle. First we went outwards this way, and now we're gonna be pushing inwards this way towards the muscle. So again, I was gonna find the edge real quick. I can pop the ankle up again, eversion, in order to find that muscle. So now we're gonna push in, find that edge, and then sink in, and now go towards the muscle. Sink in and go towards the muscle. And I can do this again all the way down. I am going very fast right now just because I'm not trying to make this video very long here. But again, spend some time actually trying to sink in and push out. And I use my thumb here, if you're wondering, to kind of guide the ball so I know where I'm at. My fingers feel the muscles and my tool does the work. So again, do that same thing all the way down, and then we could go again, trying it from the front and push it inwards. Here, I was gonna roll it in, pushing in with the heel of my, or the palm of my hand here, and then pushing towards the muscle. So again, I can do this all the way down and do about 2 to 3 passes for that as well. So a little trick here, if you don't want to use a tool, you can actually use your fingers. But the trick here is to relax the fingers. These are now tools, you have no control over it. And what I would do is I would put this on the area, my other hand presses inwards wherever I'm doing, and then I just do the same thing I'm doing with the lacrosse ball. So I can use my finger, I can use a tool, whatever you want. The idea is just try to save your fingers as much as possible, especially if you're doing this yourself. Now here we're gonna try to relax the nervous system, which is the second principle. And what we wanna do here is simply try to go right down the middle of the belly, and we're just gonna find the most tender spot by simply taking the lacrosse ball and slowly pressing it in and rolling down the leg here. So again, I'm not pressing hard, but I want the camera to see it here. I'm pressing towards the leg and I'm slowly rolling down as it's pressed inwards. Okay, and I'm just searching here for the most tender spot, because when I find that tender spot, for example, like right here, I'm now going to try to apply some static pressure and small, very small movements on that tender spot until I feel it go away. This is most likely something like a trigger point, or it might be a fascia bundle that has a lot of nerves stuck in it as well. Can't really tell honestly because they're very similar, but long story short here, this is probably for the tender spot. You probably have to hang out there and just work on it until it goes away. So do this all the way down the leg. Again, you can use the lacrosse ball, you can use your thumb or other fingers, or you can even use a foam roller here if you have one. Just lay sideways and put yourself elevated on top of that foam roller and slowly move back and forth in order to find that tender spot. So now that we have released the fascia and hopefully some trigger points into the muscle, make sure to do both sides. We're now going to be stretching the muscle. Before we get into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell if you want to get notified for the next video. All right, let's get back into it. Now the final part to releasing these tight muscles is to stretch them. A lot of people like to start with the stretching portion, but this is not right, because if you still have all that fascia restriction and those trigger points within that muscle, then you're gonna end up doing nothing but fighting your own body. So now that we have released the muscles, we're now going to be stretching them. And the best way to do this is to simply take your toes and you're going to point them inwards towards each other as much as you can. Make sure your knees are slightly bent the entire time as well. Get your toes as much as you can into each other, and then you're going to roll out into your outside ankle as far as you're comfortable going. Now the final step here is simply push your butt back. Make sure your knees are slightly bent. Push your butt back as far as you can until you begin to feel the stretch on the outside calf here. And this right here is your stretch for your fibularis muscle. Make sure to hold that stretch for about 60 seconds to even 2 minutes, depending on how tight they may feel. And you may feel one side that feels tighter than the other. If that's the case, maybe focus on that tighter side and try to get them even first. So go ahead and do that, but that doesn't mean we're done yet. We have one more step to make sure these ankles stay perfectly straight now anytime we're walking. All right, now that we have released the lateral muscles, we're now going to be working on the anterior tib, which is basically the front calf muscle. And the reason why we want to train this muscle specifically is because it's going to help it's going to help fight off those eversion of the foot there that the peroneals create. I know, a little tongue twister there. But basically it's going to help keep your feet nice and straight the entire time. So here you can see that my foot is wrapped around, or the band is wrapped around my foot here, and it is pointing straight out. The band is pulling in a lateral direction, meaning if I let the band go, it's just going to pull my foot into a duck position basically. So what we want to do is we want to start in a neutral position, going perfectly straight. Make sure your knees are slightly bent during this whole time. And what you're going to do is go from a neutral position to up and inwards. You're going to pull that toe up and inwards at the same time, so it'll look something like this. Now from here, I'm going to hold this position for about 3 to 5 seconds here, and then return to normal. Let me do that again, just a little closer for the camera. Here I'm going to come up and inwards, and I'm trying to contract all of these muscles here and hold that contraction for about 3 to 5 seconds. And this is going to be the final step for fixing those duck feet there. So by training these muscles, it's going to help fight those duck feet. And by doing these in this specific order where you release, stretch, and then exercise, you're not going to be fighting your own body, your own nervous system, and your own connective tissue. And one last reminder, don't forget to hit both sides of the feet. Spend about 5 to 10 minutes on each leg. And don't forget to share this video with someone you know could use it. Other than that, my name's Adam, helping you turn your pain into strength. I'll see you later.